Poštovane kolege, gospodo ministri, gospodo generali,
dear colleagues, dear
gospodo
ministers,
oficiri,
dear officers,
u 20. veku
in the
Srbi su
20th
učestvovali
century,
u 5 velikih
Serbia
ratova.
participated in
Kada
5
smo
major wars.
u poslednjim godinama 20. veka
When, in
počeli
the
da
last
sabiramo
decade of the 20th
naše
century,
žrtve,
we
da se
started
sećamo
counting our
miliona imena
victims,
ubijenih
those who had
u dva
fallen,
velika svetska
remembering the
rata.
names of those who got killed in the
Mislili
2
smo
major
da je
world
našem
wars.
stradanju kraj.
We were thinking that that was
Krvavi
the
20. vek
final suffering
je
that we
trebao
had.
da bude
The
završen.
bloody 20th century was supposed to be over.
A onda,
And then,
1999. godine,
in
nastupio je
1999,
poslednji veliki zločin u 20. veku.
the last major
NATO
heinous
agresija
act of the 20th century
protiv
was
Savezne Republike
committed.
Jugoslavije.
the NATO aggression against the
Naši
Union of
saveznici
Yugoslavia. Our
sa kojima smo
allies,
delili zajedničke vrednosti
with whom
u dva
we
velika
had
svetska
shared the same
rata,
values throughout 2
ujedinjeni sa
world
onima
wars,
protiv kojih smo se borili
united their forces
dva
with those
velika
against
svetska
whom we had
rata.
fought in those 2 major wars.
bombardovali su bez odluke Saveta bezbednosti,
Bombed us without a sanction
bez
from the
uporišta u
Security Council
međunarodnom
of the
pravu,
United Nations and without
jednu
any
malu
grounds in
i slobodnu
international
zemlju.
law. They bombed a small and independent country.
1999. godine
In 99,
19 velikih i moćnih zemalja pokušalo je
19
da ubije
large and powerful
jednu
nations
malu i slobodnu
tried
zemlju.
to kill one small and free country.
Svet je ćutao.
The world kept
I oni koji
silent.
su nas voleli i oni koji nas nisu voleli
And those who loved us and those who
izabrali
didn't
su
like us
da okrenu glavu.
chose to turn their eyes elsewhere.
1999. godine
In
mi smo
1999,
bili sami.
we were alone.
Bili smo sasvim sami.
We were on our own.
1999. godine,
In 1999,
nakon što je ubijeno na desetine naše
After-
dece, nakon što je razorena naša privreda,
tens of our children got killed,
nakon što
after
su
our
ubijani naši
industry was
vojnici i
destroyed,
policajci,
after our
nakon
military personnel
što
and
su
our policemen
pokušali
got killed,
da nas
after
zauvek proteraju
they tried
sela i
to
gradova gde smo oduvek živeli,
unseat us from the cities and
1999.
villages we
godine,
had
pre
lived in
tačno 20
in
godina,
1999. Exactly
pokušali
20
su da
years
ubiju
ago,
Srbiju,
they tried to kill Serbia.
a ubili su međunarodno pravo.
But what they did instead, they killed international law.
Srbija, koju vodi predsjednik Vučić,
Serbia, headed up
se
by
oporavila,
President Vučić,
ali međunarodno pravo
rose from the
nije.
ashes, but international law
Srbija je još
hasn't
uvek živa,
yet. Serbia
ali
is still
međunarodno
alive,
pravo
but international
je i
law
dalje mrtvo.
still dead.
1999. godine
In
unipolarni
1999,
svet
the
je
unipolar
doživeo
world
svoj vrhunac.
reached its peak.
Sve je bilo dozvoljeno,
Everything was
sve je bilo
allowed.
moguće.
Everything was possible.
Sila je bila opravdanje sama po sebi.
The force was the
Nije vam
justification
trebalo
in itself.
opravdanje da napadnete bilo koga,
You didn't need to justify
Da
your
uzmete
action
bilo
if you
šta.
wanted to attack anyone
da otmete bilo šta.
and take whatever you wanted to.
1999. godine
In
unipolarni
1999,
svet
the
je bio na
unipolar
svom
world
vrhuncu.
was at its peak.
1999. godine unipolarni svet
In
je umro.
1999, this world
Jer su
died
slobodni narodi
because free
shvatili
nations
da
saw
ono
and
što im je
realized that
govoreno o
what
vladavini
was
ljudskih prava,
once said about
o demokratiji kao univerzalnoj
human
vrednosti,
rights, democracy, as the
jeste samo
universal
opravdanje
values, that was
za
just
vladavinu
the
velikih
pretext
i moćnih. Ta velika
for
i strašna laž
explaining why the
mogla se
powerful
porediti
own everything and they can use force. That is the
samo
huge
sa onom
lie,
velikom laži
and we can only compare it with the huge lie
da su Srbi najgori narod na svetu,
that Serbs are
narod
the
koji
worst
treba
nation
uništiti
in the world, the worst people in the world, the people that
i
need to
narod
be destroyed,
na koji je dozvoljeno
Wiped
pustiti
off.
zlo
the people that
islamskog
everyone
terorizma
is allowed to unleash evil upon, such as
koje
Islamic
neće napasti
terrorism.
ni jedan drugi narod. Srbi će biti dovoljni.
But there is
Ta
no reason
velika
to
i
attack any
strašna
other
laž
countries. These Serbs would be sufficient for that. That
se
is the huge
posle
lie
pokazala
that was propagated.
u životima građana
that
Iraka,
huge lie
Sirije, Libije,
Then reflected itself in
velika i
the
strašna
lives of the
laž
citizens of Iraq, Syria, and
je
Libya.
probudila
This huge lie
slobodni svet.
woke up the free world.
Zato se danas
And that is why
borimo
today we
za
are
pravo
fighting
malih naroda
for the right
da izaberu
of smaller
svoj put.
nations to choose their own path.
Za pravo malih slobodnih
The
naroda
right of small peoples
da budu zaštićeni
to be defended and
jednakim
protected
pravilima i zajedničkim
by the same
sistemom
rules and
bezbednosti.
norms and
Ako je
a joint
tragedija iz
collective system of
1999.
security.
godine
If the 1999 tragedy
mogla da posluži bilo čemu,
could serve any
onda je
purpose,
to izvlačenje pouke
definitely the conclusion that can be made
da bez međunarodnog prava i
is that
sistema
without
kolektivne
international law
bezbednosti
and the collective
ovaj
defense
svet ide
system or
u
security
tragediju
system,
i nesreću.
this world would be moving towards
Da sam u
tragedy
pravu
and
govore duše
despair and catastrophe. And the fact that I'm
desetine i
right
stotine hiljada
is witnessed by
ubijene
hundreds of
srpske,
thousands of
iračke, libijske,
souls of
sirijske dece.
Iraqi, Libyan, and Syrian children and civilians.
Posledice NATO
The
agresije
consequences
u
of
mojoj
that
zemlji
aggression
se osjećaju i dalje.
against my country are still felt.
I dalje nam čitava generacija umire od posledica osiromašenog uranijuma.
Generation is still
I dalje
dying from the consequences of
otkrivamo i
the
uništavamo
uranium that was
neeksplodirana
used,
ubojna
and
sredstva.
we're still
I dalje se
finding
borimo
those
da lažna
banned
država Kosovo
munitions,
ne
and we're
postane
still fighting
država.
against Kosovo becoming
godinu
a
dana
proper state.
Na
1 year
ovom istom
ago,
mestu
at this very place,
rekao sam vam da je najveća
I
pretnja
said to you that
za mir i bezbednost na
the biggest
Balkanu
threat
lažna
to the
kosovska
world
država
and peace in the
koju vode
Balkans is the
teroristi.
false Kosovo state
Pre
headed
godinu
up by
dana
terrorists. 1 year ago,
rekao sam vam
I said to
da
you
odsustvo samostalne politike
that the absence of
zemalja članica
an
Evropske unije
independent policy by members of the European
prizivaju
Union
i podstiču ilegalne migracije.
is something that
Pre godinu dana na ovom
encourages
istom
illegal
mestu
migration.
rekao
A
sam
year
vam
ago at the same place,
da
I told
projekat
you
Velike
that
Albanije,
the project of
zemlje
the
koja je
Greater Albania
nacrtana u Drugom svetskom ratu
country
na fašističkim kartama,
that was drawn
jeste najveća pretnja
during
miru na
World War II
Balkanu.
on the German Nazi
Vreme
maps is the
me nije
worst threat in
demantovalo.
the Balkans.
a ja nisam srećan zbog toga.
And the Times said
U ovih
nothing
godinu
against
dana
this
O mom parčetu sveta,
thesis. And during
O mojoj zemlji
this
i vodi.
year, in that part of the world and in my
Svet
country,
ništa nije naučio. Briselski
I'm
sporazum
coming to the conclusion
koji smo
that
postigli
the
uz velike
world
napore i
learned
velike žrtve.
nothing from the past. And the accords which we have
U nadi da ćemo sačuvati mir.
achieved with serious
poštuje se.
victims, hoping that we will
kao ni
obtain peace.
rezolucija
This not
1244.
being observed as the resolution of UN
Za pobijene žrtve
1244.
mog naroda Niko ne odgovara.
Nobody paid the price, and nobody bears
nema
responsibility
suda.
for those murders and killings against my
Čak
people.
kršeći
Nobody is
sopstvene
held
zakone,
responsible. Even
lažna
violating
kosovska
their
država
own rules, the false
je napravila
quasi
paravojsku.
Kosovo state
na čelu te vojske
created military
komandanti
forces,
terorističkih formacija.
and they're being led by the commanders of the terrorist organizations
Teroristima
which
teško
existed
naoružanje
before.
i nadati se
So
miru
if you hand over heavy weapons
Više
to
ludilo
terrorists and hope for
nego
peace,
politika.
this is the action
Na
of
čelu te
insane people,
paravojske
but not
nalaze
the
se
actions of
teroristi
serious
koji
politicians.
nisu osuđeni
And this
ne zato
army
što
is
nisu krivi,
led by terrorists which were not
već
brought
zato
to justice, not because
što su svi svedoci na njihovim suđenjima pred međunarodnim sudovima pravde
all
brutalno pobijeni.
witnesses which
Nije
spoke
imao
in
niko
courts
živ
against them were brutally
svedoči.
murdered. And there was no single
Stvaranje
individual who could
Velike
stand
Albanije
in court
kao
to accuse
pokušaj
them. And forming of
da se
the
reši
so-called Great Albania is
albansko
the
nacionalno
attempt
pitanje, a zapravo
to solve the
pokušaj da se
Albanian national issue, and
izmeni i
this is
opravda
the
neuspeh
attempt
formiranja kosovske
to
države
change and justify
je najveća pretnja na Balkanu.
unsuccessful Kosovo state, and this is the
Onaj
greatest
ko misli
threat on the Balkans.
da može
And those who think
na račun svih balkanskih naroda
that
da reši nacionalno pitanje
they could
Albanaca
solve at the expense of
praveći im
Balkan people
veliku
to
državu,
solve the future
taj mora da zna
of Albanians by
da
constructing
se
a
igra
big state for them.
velikom vatrom
They should know
i da
that
priziva
they are
nesreću.
playing with fire,
Ne možete na
And,
prostoru
they
malom
will,
kao što je Balkan
cause misfortune and disasters.
uskratiti Srbima ono što nudite
It
Albancima.
is very dangerous
Mi Srbi
not to give to
ćemo za
Serbs
mir
the
uraditi
same what you offered to
skoro sve.
Albanians, and we stand for peace. We will
ali
fight
za
for peace,
slobodu
and we will fight
ćemo
for freedom.
uraditi sve.
We will fight
Srbija je izabrala da bude
to
vojno
victory
neutralna.
for freedom, and Serbia
Težak
have chosen to be neutral
častan put.
from the military viewpoint.
Poučena
It is a
iskustvima
very
iz krvavog
difficult
20. veka,
very honest way to
Srbija
go
zna
further, and
da će biti
because
poštovana
of the experience of the
i
20th
slobodna.
century, Serbia knows that it will be
Onoliko
respected
koliko bude
country,
jaka
and it will be free,
i sposobna
and
da
of
se odbrani.
course it should be powerful enough to defend itself.
Srbija zna da je njen put težak
Serbia knows
Ali je
that it
častan.
is not an easy way, but
i
it
radujemo
is
se
an
podršci
honest
slobodnih naroda.
way, and
Na
we
tom
are
putu.
very happy to receive
Mi smo
help and
izabrali
support of free people.
Da ne budemo članica ni jednog vojnog saveza,
We have chosen our future
makar
destiny.
bili
We are not going
poslednja
to be part of any
zemlja u Evropi koja
military
neće biti
bloc,
članica NATO pakta.
and perhaps we will be the last country in
Jednim
Europe
delom
which
zato
will
što
not
smo bili
join NATO.
bombardovani,
On the one part,
ali i
because we
zato
were
što
bombed
nećemo
by NATO
nikada
forces,
dozvoliti
and secondly,
da drugima
because
radimo ono što je rađeno nama
we will not do harm
Ni za
to
čiji
those
savez,
nations,
i ni po čijem naređenju.
the harm which
Hvala vam za
was
priliku
done against us.
Da i mali
Thank
narodi
you for this chance,
mogu da govore
so that
glasno.
small
Hvala.
nations could speak in a loud voice. Thank you very much.